بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وحبيبنا وعظيمنا وقائدنا وقرة أعيننا محمد المصطفى المرتضى المجتبى وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تلا. قال المؤلف رحمه الله, said the author, may Allah have mercy upon him, وعذاب القبر للكافرين ولبعض عصاة المؤمنين وتنعيم أهل الطاعة في القبر وسؤال منكر ونكير ثابت بالدلائل السمعية. The torture of the grave for the disbelievers and for some disobedient believers, and the enjoyment of the people of obedience in the grave. They're being made to enjoy. Tan'im. The people of obedience being made to enjoy in the grave, and the interrogation of Munkar and Nakir is confirmed by the heard proofs. So now the author wants to talk about things that they don't have rational argument themselves. These things, they came from the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. He conveyed them to us, and we must believe in them. SharH, the explanation, هذه المسائل الثلاث التي ذكرها المؤلف هنا من السمعيات. These three cases that the author mentioned here are from the heard things. What are three cases he said here? He said the torture of the grave for the disbelievers and for some disobedient believers, and the people of obedience being made to enjoy in the grave, and the questioning, the interrogation of Munkar and Nakir. These are amongst the sam'iyat, the heard things. That's a technical term there. وهي ما كان الدليل على إثباته النقل ليس العقل. The heard things refers to what the proof for its confirmation is, the documentation, not the intellect. Documentation means Quran and Sunnah and consensus. فإن قيل, so if it were said, يرد على قول المصنف وعذاب القبر للكافرين عمومه وهو غير ثابت فلا بد من الاستثناء وهو غير ثابت فلا بد من الاستثناء لأن من الكافرين من هم من أهل الفترة فلا يعذبون عند الجمهور إن كانوا لم تبلغهم الدعوة أي دعوة الإسلام. If it were said, the author's statement can be criticized when he said the torture of the grave for the disbelievers. It can be criticized for being too broad, too general, because this broadness in his statement is not confirmed. Rather, this statement must have an exclusion in it, because there are some disbelievers, those who are from the time of intermission, when there was no message of a prophet in circulation. They will not be tortured according to the majority. They are still disbelievers, though, is the point. If the call of Islam did not reach them, if the call did not reach them, meaning the call of Islam did not reach them, they won't be tortured according to the majority. So the statement should have an exception in it. وَالْجَوَابِ أَنَّهُ ذَهَبَ إِلَى مَا نُقِلَ عَنْ أَبِي حَنِيفَةَ. The answer is that the author here takes the position that was documented about Abu Hanifa أن الإنسان لا يعذر بالجهل بخالقه إن بلغته الدعوة أو لم تبلغه. That Abu Hanifa said that the human being is not excused for ignorance about his creator. Whether the call reached him or did not reach him, he will not be excused according to Abu Hanifa. وَيُعْذَرُ فِي مَا سِوَى ذَلِكَ. And he would be excused concerning anything else if the call of a prophet didn't reach him. Just not monotheism. Yes. According to Abu Hanifa, a person is not excused for being ignorant about his creator, whether the call of a prophet reached him or did not reach him. He is accountable, according to Abu Hanifa, to believe in monotheism without the call of a prophet. وَيُعْذَرُ فِي مَا سِوَى ذَلِكَ. And he would be excused in anything other than monotheism, anything other than believing in the oneness of God, if the call of a prophet did not reach him. So according to Abu Hanifa, had a person been an atheist without the message of a prophet ever reaching him, or he was a pagan without the message of a prophet ever reaching him, then he will be in hell forever. So that's what Abu Hanifa said. And so the Shaykh says this is how to answer the generality in the author's statement, meaning that it's not excluding any kafir actually. He doesn't mean to exclude any kafir from his statement. So they're not excluded from his statement according to his own intention. Wallahu a'lam. Yani, if the Shaykh is accurate about the author's intention and why he worded his matan like that, then he is not excluding any kafir. أما قوله لبعض عصاة المؤمنين فظاهر لا خفاء فيه. And as for when the author said that there's torture in the grave for some of the disobedient believers, that is obvious. There is nothing obscure about it or hidden about it. Yani, that's common Muslim knowledge. على مذهب أهل الحق لأن عصاة المؤمنين قسمان قسم منهم معاقبون وقسم مغفور لهم. Because the disobedient believers are, there's nothing obscure here according to the way, the madhab of the people of the truth. Because the disobedient believers are of two categories. A category of them are punished, and a category of them are forgiven. وَأَمَّا تَنْعِيمُ أَهْلِ طَاعَةِ فِي الْقَبْرِ. And as for bestowing enjoyment upon the people of the people of obedience in the grave, making the people of obedience, as for making the people of obedience enjoy in the grave, فهو بإنارة قبورهم بنور كالقمر ليلة البدر. That includes such things as illuminating their graves with a light, like the light of the moon, like the light of the full moon. وعرض مقعدهم من الجنة عليهم غدوا وعشيا. As well as displaying to them their spots in the garden, morning and late afternoon. وغير ذلك, and other things, like the grave expanding. أما سؤال منكر ونكير. As for the interrogation of Munkar and Nakir, فهو حاصل لمن ليس شهيدا وطفلا. It happens to anyone who is neither a martyr nor a child. لأنهما مستثنيان, because they are excluded. أما الميت يوم الجمعة أو ليلتها فلم يصح حديث باستثنائه من السؤال. As for someone who died on Friday or even the night of Friday, there is no authentic hadith that he is excluded from this interrogation. فهو ممن يشملهم السؤال. He is therefore amongst those who are interrogated. ومن الأدلة السمعية التي عناها المؤلف بالنسبة لعذاب القبر للكفار. And amongst the heard proofs that the author meant concerning the torture of the grave for the disbeliever, for the disbelievers, is قوله تعالى, what God said, exalted is He. النار يعرضون عليها غدوا وعشيا ويوم تقوم الساعة أدخلوا آل فرعون أشد العذاب. The fire is displayed to them morning and late afternoon. And on the day when the hour commences, then, O angels, commit the people of Pharaoh to the most excruciating of torture. Ayah 46 of Surah Ghafir. So where's the proof there? النار يعرضون عليها غدوا وعشيا. That part. The fire is displayed to them morning and afternoon. So that means now in their graves. وَيَوْمَ تَقُومُ السَّاعَةُ أَدْخِلُوا آلَ فِرْعَوْنَ أَشَدَّ الْعَذَابِ. And on the day when the hour commences, then in the future, so that's now in the grave, this part. Then, O angels, commit the people of the Pharaoh to the most excruciating of torture. وَغَيْرُ ذَلِكَ. And other than that, other torture, other proof. كَقَوْلِهِ تَعَالَى, like when God said, exalted is He, أُغْرِقُوا فَأُدْخِلُوا نَارًا. They were drowned and then put into a fire. That's ayah 25 of Surah Nuh. A قَوْمُ Nuh, meaning the people of Noah. So the meaning of this is that they drowned, so that's how they died. And then, as a torture for them after their deaths, now in the dunya, before resurrection day, a torture that is equivalent to the torture of the grave, though they weren't buried, they were drowned, is that they were put into a fire. That's the meaning of the ayah. So that's proof of the torture of the grave. And also that helps you to understand more that the questioning of the angels, Munkar and Nakir, is special to the nation of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. How that makes you or helps you understand that more? Because not a condition that every nation have the same situation after they die. For each nation, Allah knows what does He have for them when they die. So this was their case. In case of people in our time, for example, in our nation, is that angels will come to them. وَأَمَّا الْعَذَابُ عَذَابُ الْقَبْرِ الَّذِي هُوَ يَشْمَلُ الْكُفَّارَ وَغَيْرَهُمْ. And as for the torture of the grave, that which is inclusive of the disbelievers and others. فَدَلِيلُهُ قَوْلُ النَّبِيِّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. Its evidence is what the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, istanzihu min al-bawl, clear yourselves of urine, فَإِنَّ عَامَّةَ عَذَابِ الْقَبْرِ مِنْهِ. Surely the general torture of the grave is due to urine. وَحَدِيث أَكْثَرُ عَذَابِ الْقَبْرِ مِنَ الْبَوْلِ. And also there's the hadith, most of the torture of the grave is from urine. So very serious. What someone might not think is a sin, subhanAllah. A person might think, oh, if I didn't get my urine off myself, who cares? I'm not saying a Muslim person. A Muslim knows because the religion taught us. But if the religion didn't teach the person, how is he going to necessarily know? Like, for example, people, the the thing on the wall in the men's bathroom, the urine bounces right back on you. Yeah, you're standing right there in close proximity to this thing, and the urine shoots out at the speed at which it does bounce right back on you. So they didn't apparently find it a problem. MashaAllah. Yeah, because he might say, for example, I'm not hurting any person. So he doesn't realize this is a sin. ومن الأدلة السمعية في هذا الباب بالنسبة لتنعيم المؤمنين, and amongst the heard proofs in this chapter or this topic concerning making the believers enjoy. So tan'im, I can just say the enjoyment of the grave. I'm just taking advantage of the pattern here. So na'amahu, he made him enjoy. يثبت الله الذين آمنوا بالقول الثابت في الحياة الدنيا. يثبت الله الذين آمنوا بالقول الثابت في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة. Allah makes those who believed firm. Allah makes those who believed firm with the firm statement, or by the firm statement, in the worldly life and in the afterlife. Allah makes those who believed firm by the firm word in the worldly life and in the afterlife. That's the 27th verse of Surah Ibrahim. Yani, Allah makes firm those who believed by enabling them to adhere to the confirmed correct word of the Shahada in the earthly life. And in the grave afterlife, yani, he enables them to adhere to the confirmed correct word in the grave afterlife when questioned by the two angels. ويتبع هذه المسألة أي مسألة عذاب القبر رد الروح إلى الجسد. And included under this case, a relevant issue in this case, meaning the case of the torture of the grave, is the return of the soul to the body, or the restoration of the soul to the body. وَذَلِكَ ثَابِتٌ, that's confirmed. وَرَدَ فِيهِ حَدِيثُ أَنَسٍ وَغَيْرِهِ, the hadith of Anas and others came concerning that. فَإِنْ قِيلَ, so if it were said, كَيْفَ يَصِحُ ذَلِكَ وَقَدْ قَالَ اللَّهُ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى, how could that be correct when God said, رَبَّنَا أَمَتَّنَا اثْنَتَيْنِ وَأَحْيَيْتَنَا اثْنَتَيْنِ, the 11th ayah of Surah Ghafir, which means, our Lord, you made us lifeless twice, and you quickened us twice. Quicken means made us alive. So they say, here's an ayah. It means, they say, oh, our Lord, you made us lifeless twice, and you quickened us twice. They say, وفي إثبات هذه الحياة يلزم ثلاث إحياءات وثلاث إماتات لا إماتتان وإحياءان فقط. They say, but according to what you're saying about this life in the grave, this confirms 3 quickenings and 3 being made lifeless. 3 times being made lifeless, not 2. So they say, in this life of the grave that you confirm, this would necessitate that there's 3 quickenings and 3 times being made lifeless, not only 2 for each. فالجواب, the answer is أن تلك الحياة ليست كالحياة المعهودة عند الناس قبل الموت. The answer is that this life of which we speak in the grave is not like the normal, recognizable life, the accustomed, experienced life, the life we experience, the people experience before death. وَإِنَّمَا هِيَ حَيَاةٌ خَاصَّةٌ. It is rather a particular life. يُدْرِكُ الشَّخْصُ الْمَقْبُورُ فِيهَا أَلَمَ الْعَذَابِ. The buried person in that life, in that state of life, experiences, he realizes the pain of the torture. Oh, لَذَّةَ النَّعِيمِ. Or he realizes the pleasure of the bliss. بِغَيْرِ تَطَلُّبٍ لِلْمَأْكُولِ وَالْمَشْرَبِ. Without putting any effort to consume something or drink something, without putting effort to experience things by his senses. In this lifetime, how are you going to taste something or feel something or see something or hear something? You're going to put your body into motion so that you can experience whatever it is you want to experience. So it's not like that in the grave. وَنَحْوِ ذَلِكَ. قال المؤلف رحمه الله. Said the author, may Allah have mercy upon him. وَالْبَعْثُ حَقٌّ. And the resurrection is true. الشرح أي بعث الله تعالى الموتى من القبور بأن يجمع أجزاءهم الأصلية ويعيد الأرواح إليها. The explanation is that this statement of the author, the resurrection is true, means God's resurrecting the dead from their graves by recomposing its original parts and restoring their original parts. By recomposing their original parts and restoring the souls to those bodies, those recomposed bodies. It is true. حق. ثم هل الأجزاء الأصلية لم تنعدم. Now, furthermore, here's a case the scholars talked about. Is it that the original pieces do not vanish into nothingness? إنما زال اجتماعها. And that merely what happens is that their composition deteriorates. فتفرقت. And so that the most that happened is that the body dispersed, its pieces dispersed. أو انعدمت. Or is it the case that the pieces of a body actually vanish into nothingness? They, let's say for example, dissipate. ثم أعيدت. And then they come back. Then Allah makes them reappear. He makes them come back into existence. في ذلك كلام للعلماء. There is talk of the scholars in that. قال بكل قائلون من أهل السنة. Both sayings have sayers from. والموافق لظواهر النصوص أنها تنعدم ثم تعاد. And that which agrees with what appears of the texts. So important. What appears. That's what you want to look for and to see if you can take it. What appears from the Quran, what appears from the Sunnah. If you can take it, then taking it is better. That's why he's mentioning it. And what agrees with what appears from the texts, أنها تنعدم, is that they dissipate. ثم تعاد, and then Allah will restore their existence. والدليل على أن البعث حق قوله تبارك وتعالى. And the evidence that the resurrection is true is what God said, exalted is He. ثم إنكم يوم القيامة تبعثون. Then, indeed, you shall on the day of standing be resurrected. That's the 16th verse of Surah Al-Mu'minun. وَقَوْلُهُ, and also what God said, قُلْ يُحْيِيهَا الَّذِي أَنْشَأَهَا أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ. Say, O Muhammad, reviving those bones is He who initiated them the first time. وَقَوْلُهُ, and God's word, and this last one was ayah 79 of Surah Yasin. كَمَا بَدَأْنَا أَوَّلَ خَلْقٍ نُعِيدُهُ. The 104th verse of Surah Al-Anbiya. Just as we started the first creation, we restore it. And this ayah is an example of what the Shaykh was just talking about when he says, what complies with what appears of the texts is that those pieces of the body dissipate and then they are restored into existence. Because it says, كَمَا بَدَأْنَا أَوَّلَ خَلْقٍ. Just as we started the first creation. So how did He start the first creation? From nothing. نُعِيدُهُ. Then we will restore it means from nothing. We will recreate it. And the meaning here is the very same one will come back into existence. Not a different one, not a duplicate. إلى غير ذلك من النصوص القاطعة بحشر الأجساد, etc., including other verses, definitive texts, including other definitive texts about the resurrection of the bodies. وأنكرت الفلاسفة حشر الأجساد. Usually in the book of obligatory knowledge, when we say hashar, we mean the gathering of the people. They're being assembled and herded. If that's what it means here, then this is inclusive of the actual resurrection that we just talked about in detail. The restoration of the body that we just talked about in detail. Because that gathering comes after the actual restoration. If that gathering is confirmed, then for sure the recomposing of the body is confirmed. But does the word hashr here mean the recreation of the body itself? وَأَنْكَرَتِ الْفَلَاسِفَةُ حَشْرَ الْأَجْسَادِ. The philosophers denied the resurrection of the bodies. So as if that's what it means here, because that's what they denied. They denied what we talked about in detail, which right now here is it's being called hashr right here. فَزَعَمُوا أَنَّ الْمَعْدُومَ لَا يَصِحُّ إِعَادَتُهُ بِعَيْنِهِ بَعْدَ عَدَمِهِ. They claim that the non-existent, it's not valid to restore the non-existent to the very same thing it was after it became non-existent. وَذَلِكَ أَمْرٌ لَا دَلِيلَ لَهُمْ عَلَيْهِ. Shaykh says, and this is a matter that they have no evidence for. لَا دَلِيلَ لَهُمْ عَلَيْهِ يُعْتَدُّ بِهِ. No regarded evidence. Yani, they don't have any evidence for that. Yani, they were saying, once the body vanishes into nothingness, all of its parts are vanished into nothingness, then if something came back after that, it's a different one. It's not the same one. Because the original one is gone now. So this is nothing more than an assumption here. What's impossible about the Creator bringing the very same thing back into existence? There's nothing impossible about that. That's the case. That's why we should be afraid of Allah Ta'ala, because He's going to make our bodies vanish into nothingness and then bring us back with the very same ones we are now. Subhanallah wa bihamdih. I ask Allah to enable me to take my own advice. Ameen. قال المؤلف رحمه الله, said the author, may Allah have mercy upon him, والوزن حق, and the weighing of the deeds is true. الشرح, the explanation, ودليله قوله تعالى, its evidence is what God said, exalted is He, والوزن يومئذ الحق, and the weighing of the deeds on that day is true or real. Wazn means weight. That's the 8th verse of Surah Al-A'raf. فَالْمِيزَانُ هُوَ عِبَارَةٌ عَمَّا يُعْرَفُ بِهِ مَقَادِيرُ الْأَعْمَالِ وَالْعَقْلِ الْأَعْمَالِ وَالْعَقْلُ قَاصِرٌ عَنْ إِدْرَاكِ كَيْفِيَّتِهِ. نعم. فَالْمِيزَانُ هُوَ عِبَارَةٌ عَمَّا يُعْرَفُ بِهِ مَقَادِيرُ الْأَعْمَالِ. And so the mizan, the scale, here in this topic right now, not linguistically, this word refers to that by which the deeds are measured. No, refers to that by which the measurement of the deeds is known. Refers to that by which the measurements of the deed are known. وَالْعَقْلُ قَاصِرٌ عَنْ إِدْرَاكِ كَيْفِيَّتِهِ, and the mind is limited from realizing how that would really happen. وَهَلْ تُوزَنُ الْأَشْخَاصِ أَوْ الْكُتُبِ أَوْ الْأَعْمَالِ, and what is it that is truly measured? Yani, what is it that its weight is measured? What is it that has weight that's being measured in a pan? Is it the people, or is it the individuals, or is it the books of deeds, or is it the deeds themselves? Here's some footnotes here. So when it says, is it the people? Footnote. It says, Shaykh and Imam Maymun ibn Muhammad An-Nasafiyyah, who's famous as Abu al-Ma'in An-Nasafiyyah, who passed away in the year 508, mentioned that, the people. In his book Bahrul Kalam, he said, we say, some said the slave is weighed with his deeds because of what was narrated about the Prophet's pupil, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, radiyallahu anhu, that he climbed a tree and he had thin shins. Yani, one might say, if it's not degrading, he had scrawny shins. فَتَبَسَّمَ أَصْحَابُ النَّبِيِّ, so the companions of the Prophet smiled when they saw his shins, alayhi salatu wassalam. And so the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam said, أَتَعْجَبُونَ مِنْ دِقَّةِ سَاقِهِ, he said, are you amazed at the fineness of his shin? Yani, the thinness, the slimness of his shin. وَإِنَّهُمَا لَأَثْقَلُ فِي الْمِيزَانِ مِنَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرَضِينَ. Indeed, those two shins are by God heavier in the scale than the heavens and the earths. So it is confirmed that the slave is weighed with his deeds. So that was the first footnote there. Or is it the books that are weighed, or is it the deeds that are weighed? Then for the second and third footnotes, there's something in Fathul Bari. See Fathul Bari. وَرَدَ بِكُلِّ ذَلِكَ نَص. All of that has some documentation reported about it. فَلَا مَانِعَ مِنَ الْقَوْلِ بِكُلِّ ذَلِكَ. So there's nothing to prevent saying that all of that happens. وَمَعْنَى ذَلِكَ أَنَّهُ يُمْكِنُ أَن تُوزَنَ أَحْيَانًا الْأَشْخَاصِ أَوْ أَعْمَالُهُمْ وَأَحْيَانًا الْكُتُبِ. The meaning of that is that it's possible that sometimes the individuals would be weighed, or their deeds would be weighed in other instances, or their books would be weighed sometimes. فَإِنْ قِيلَ, so if it were said, كيف توزن الأعمال وهي حركات ونوايا فعلها العبد, how could deeds be weighed when they are movements and intentions that the slave did? قلنا لا مانع عقلا من ذلك. We say there is no intellectual prevention, no intellectual impossibility about that. قالوا الحسنات, you could read this تصوروا with the omission of a ta that would be here. That would be valid. قالوا الحسنات تصوروا بصور حسنة. Then the origin would be تتصوروا. The scholars said the good deeds in this case would be given appearances, would be given forms, nice forms. وَالسَّيِّئَاتُ بِصُوَرٍ قَبِيحَةٍ, and the bad deeds would be given ugly forms. وَتُوزَنُ هَذِهِ وَتُوزَنُ هَذِهِ, and then these would be weighed and these would be weighed. وَتُوضَعُ هَذِهِ فِي كَفَّةٍ وَتِلْكَ تُوضَعُ فِي كَفَّةٍ, and these would be put in a pan and these would be put in a pan. قال المؤلف رحمه الله والكتاب حق. And the author said, may Allah have mercy on him, the book of deeds is real. SharH, the explanation. أنه يعني بالكتاب الكتاب المثبت فيه طاعات العباد والمعاصي. The explanation is that he means by the book here, when he said the book is real, the book in which the slave's worships are confirmed and his sins. يؤتى المؤمنون كتبهم بأيمانهم, the believers will be given their books in their right hands. وَالْكُفَّارُ بِشَمَائِلِهِمْ وَرَاءَ ظُهُورِهِمْ, and the disbelievers will be given their books of deeds in their left hands, behind their backs, and while their right hands are chained to their necks. وَالدَّلِيلُ السَّمْعِيُّ عَلَى ذَلِكَ قَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى, and the heard evidence about that is what God said, exalted is He, وَنُخْرِجُ لَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ كِتَابًا يَلْقَاهُ مَنْشُورًا. And the heard evidence for that is what God said, exalted is He, which means, and we bring out to Him or for Him on Resurrection Day a book that He يَلْقَاهُ مَنْشُورًا. Let's check there. I don't know what that means. Ayah 13 of Surah Al-Isra. وَقَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى, and what God said, exalted is He, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ فَسَوْفَ يُحَاسَبُ حِسَابًا يَسِيرًا. And as for whoever was given his book in his right hand, then he shall be, his reckoning shall be an easy one. That's the 8th ayah of Surah Al-Inshiqaq. This hamza shouldn't be there. Al-Inshiqaq. وَالْحِسَابُ الْيَسِيرُ هُوَ الَّذِي لَيْسَ فِيهِ مُنَاقَشَةٌ. The easy reckoning is a reckoning that does not have intense interrogation. لأنه صح أن من نوقش الحساب عذب, because it is confirmed that anyone on Resurrection Day who is thoroughly interrogated, not just thoroughly, severely and scoldingly thoroughly interrogated, then he shall be tortured. It means here he will be questioned about everything. He will be questioned about everything. Wallahu a'lam. We'll stop there. Do you have any question I can answer for you? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.